Michael Donovan never imagined that a quiet winter night would lead him into the heart of the greatest secret ever kept from humanity. A 59-year-old retired mechanic living on the outskirts of Laramie, Wyoming, Mike's life was as ordinary as it gets. Quiet mornings, routine repairs, and the occasional call from his daughter, Emily. He lived alone, his house surrounded by open fields and silence. But on one snow-covered night, that silence was broken by something not of this world. It happened while Mike was driving home after visiting Emily and her newborn son. The moon hung low, silver light brushing over the endless white landscape. The radio was off, just the hum of his old pickup and the crunch of snow under tires. Then he saw it. Strange lights cut through the distance, bright, bluish, swirling in patterns no plane or helicopter could make. For a moment, Mike thought he was seeing some kind of aerial drill. But the lights moved too fast, too precise, then suddenly plunged downward into a nearby field. A blinding flash, and then darkness. Mike stopped the truck, pulse racing. His breath fogged the air as he stared out into the field, expecting to hear an explosion. Nothing. Just stillness and the faint smell of ozone carried on the wind. Logic told him to drive away, but something deeper, maybe instinct, maybe fate, told him to look closer. He grabbed his flashlight, pulled his coat tight, and climbed over the fence into the snow. Each step crunched softly as he followed a faint trail of melted snow leading toward the crash site. The air shimmered faintly with heat, though the night was freezing. Then he saw pieces of something scattered across the field. Not metal, not plastic. The fragments glowed faintly, as if alive, changing colors like the inside of an opal. He crouched down, brushing snow away, trying to understand. What in the world? Then, a sound. A low, trembling hum, like a moan. He turned the flashlight toward the noise and froze. There, half buried under twisted, glowing debris, was a figure. Humanoid, but not human. Tall, thin, its skin shifting in color like liquid metal under moonlight. One arm clutched its chest where a blue-green luminescent fluid leaked into the snow. The being looked at Mike, eyes huge, dark, deep with something unmistakable. Fear. Mike raised a hand slowly. "Hey, I'm not gonna hurt you." The creature hesitated, then extended its hand, trembling, uncertain, but trusting. That single gesture would change Mike Donovan's life forever. Mike didn't think, he simply acted. He wrapped the wounded being in an old blanket from his truck, careful not to touch the strange glowing fluid that stained the snow. The creature was lighter than it looked, almost weightless, fragile in his arms. Driving back through the empty roads, Mike's mind raced. What am I doing? If this was real, if this was really happening, then someone, somewhere would come looking. The government, the military, someone. But mile after mile passed, and the road behind him remained empty. When he finally pulled into his property, the only light came from the porch lamp and the distant glow of the horizon. Instead of bringing the being into his house, Mike unlocked his large tool shed, the one he used as a personal workshop. It was private, warm, and hidden from the road. He laid the being gently on an old couch and turned on the heater. The being's chest still shimmered faintly where the wound was, its breathing shallow but steady. Mike hurried to grab towels, water, anything that could help. "I don't know what to do for you, buddy, but I'll try." As he returned with supplies, he froze. The being had placed its long fingers over its wound, and light began to bloom beneath its hand. A soft pulse, rhythmic, alive. Before Mike's stunned eyes, The wound began to seal itself, tissue weaving together like silk threads under invisible hands. When the light faded, the being exhaled deeply and slumped back, exhausted. Mike whispered, "You can heal yourself?" No response, only the faint rise and fall of alien breath. He sat beside it for hours, just watching. Every logical part of his brain screamed that this was insane, that he needed to call someone, alert the authorities. But another part, deeper and older, told him no, that if he did, whatever this being was, it would never survive.
Over the next days, Mike transformed his shed into a sanctuary. He blocked the windows, brought more blankets, and stocked food and water, though the being barely touched any of it. Sometimes it would stand and explore the tools, running those long fingers over metal surfaces as if trying to remember something. Other times, it simply watched Mike, silently, as though studying him. By the third night, the fear had faded, replaced by a strange peace. Mike would bring coffee, sit across from the being, and talk, even though he didn't expect answers. He talked about his life, about his daughter, about how tired he was of working and never getting ahead. He didn't know why he was saying these things. Maybe because for the first time he felt like someone or something was truly listening. Then, as he sat one evening, book in hand, trying to distract himself with a few chapters of quantum theory, he felt a soft touch on his arm. He looked up. The being was standing beside him, eyes glowing faintly, one hand extended. For a heartbeat, Mike froze. Every instinct screamed at him to move away. But those eyes, deep, ancient, and kind, held his gaze. Slowly, cautiously, he placed his hand in its own. And in that instant, everything changed. A warmth flooded through him, but not physical. Images, emotions, sounds, a rush of understanding that wasn't human. His vision blurred as memories that weren't his own flickered behind his eyes. Then a voice echoed inside his head. Soft, calm, neither male nor female. "Do not be afraid, Michael. You helped me when others would not. I mean you no harm, but you must know what I will tell you is the reason your kind has suffered for centuries." Mike's breath caught in his throat. You can talk?" "Not with sound, with mind. I have waited until you were ready. You deserve to understand who truly controls the world you live in." Mike's heart pounded. He could barely breathe. The being stood before him, calm, glowing faintly, as the world around them seemed to fade into stillness. "Your species was given freedom once," the voice said in his mind, "but long ago that freedom was taken not by force, but by deception." Images flashed before Mike's eyes, ancient cities, temples, humans kneeling before figures of light. "Those you called gods were not gods. They were overseers, a council of interdimensional entities who learned to harvest what you cannot see, human emotion." Mike blinked, overwhelmed by the torrent of visions, vast ships in orbit, shadows manipulating leaders, wars igniting and ending like chess moves. Fear, anger, despair, these are energy. The more you suffer, the more they feed. It is why your history repeats itself, why you build only to destroy, why truth never lasts. Mike whispered aloud, "So you're saying humanity's controlled by them?" The being nodded slowly. They are not evil by your definition. They are efficient. You are batteries of emotion. Beautiful, unpredictable, powerful. But they have forgotten that you were once their equals. The air around them shimmered, as if reality itself vibrated with the weight of truth. Mike felt dizzy. Then why tell me this? What can one man do? The being's gaze softened. Because there are some among us who no longer agree with what has been done. I fled wounded because I tried to stop the next phase. They are planning to end your cycle of free will entirely by merging your species with their own through technology and influence. You call it progress. Mike felt a chill. The internet, artificial intelligence, global surveillance, all the headlines suddenly made sense in a terrifying way. I am dying, the being continued. But before I return to the source, I must leave you with this. Not all control requires chains. Sometimes all it takes is belief.